Let's discuss the 6 warning signs that could signal that you have dementia. And beyond these 6 warning signs, I do also want to talk about some signs that you may want to pay attention to in your own life. You might say, well, I'm not going to have dementia. I'm not that old. It's not something I have to worry about it. Certainly, you do have to worry about it because it is a problem that shows up earlier than you think. So we'll discuss all of this, but before we get started, I'm Dr. Nick Zarowski. Welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you want to hit that notification bell because subscribes don't really do anything for you here on YouTube. So if you want to be alerted, you got to hit that bell. And then lastly, check out my whole catalog of natural health videos on www.drz.tv. Now, I think that the warning signs that could signal dementia are very important. And quite frankly, this is something that I pay attention to closely in my own life because, like I said, my grandmother had this, and I saw her in her last 5 to 10 years of life really start to struggle with this until eventually it was so bad that she was totally incapacitated. But at the end of the day, it's like, could we have avoided this? Is there something we could have done? Now, the answer to that question is yes, there certainly is. But with the information we had at the time, no, there was nothing that could be done. In fact, most people today, still, there is nothing that they can do with the information that they have. So hopefully I can shed some light on this particular problem. Now, as I said before, this is something I pay attention to in my own life. So if I'm, repeating words, or things can't come to my mind clearly, or my memory isn't sharp, or, just anything, I have poor brain endurance, anything that starts to really show up quite a bit, I'm like, oh man, I got to do something about this. Like, this is not acceptable because it freaks me out. Like, this has got to be the worst way to live your later years in your life. It truly is. And being that I witnessed it, I want nothing to do with it. Let's jump into this article. Now, occasionally a memory lapse is common after the age of 50. Forgetting someone's name, where you left your keys. I do that all the time, actually, but that's just me. Or my wallet. Where losing your keys, that happens to everyone at some point. However, if these lapses happen frequently to you or to a loved one and interfere with daily functioning, such as paying your bills, planning, or preparing meals, it may be time to see or seek some medical help. Now, according to the Alzheimer's Association, dementia is a general term for memory loss, difficulty solving problems, and diminished cognitive skills that interfere with daily life. Okay, it's estimated that Alzheimer's disease accounts for 60 to 80% of all dementia cases, and there's multiple different types. Let's dive into some of the warning signs that you can look for, and then we'll talk about some of the things that are like early warning signs. These are kind of later warning signs, but I'm talking about early on, early in life, that you potentially could have a problem with dementia. Now, 6 warning signs of dementia you shouldn't ignore, okay? Once again, this is talking about when you already have it, and then we'll talk about very early warning signs. So, difficulty performing tasks. According to the AARP, people with dementia have difficulty keeping track of bill paying or even following a recipe. Okay, I recently had a patient who was saying, yeah, we noticed my mom in the kitchen really messing some stuff up continually, things she's made her whole life. And we noticed there's something wrong. So we took her to the doctor, and sure enough, she had a diagnosis of dementia. And I know that my grandmother, being somebody who baked all the time, she was big in the baking pie. And it got to the point where she literally couldn't bake a pie anymore. Now, mind you, when I say she was big in the baking pie, she made like a pie a day her entire life that I knew her anyway. And she got to the point where she couldn't do it anymore. So performing tasks that are detail-oriented, baking, paying a bill, things of that nature are good signs. Now, repeating oneself, okay? So this is basically, it's like you get that person who tells you a story, and then like 5-10 minutes later, they tell you a story. Or maybe they tell you a story, and then every time they see you, they tell you that story again. I remember my grandmother would do that. Literally nonstop, you get the same story. It was like the highlight reel, and everybody just listened and was very kind about it. But it was a situation that lasted years of her telling the same story over and over again. And if she caught you within the same maybe 30 minutes, she would tell you the same story twice, and as if you've never heard it before. So, confusion with time or place. Alzheimer's Association says that common signs of dementia is getting confused about the day of the week it is. People with dementia may lose track of time or forget where they are and how they got there. Okay, that's another thing. You're literally in a place and you go, what am I doing here? How did this happen? How did I get here? Okay, this is something that you have to be aware of as well. Vision problems. Very often, someone with dementia or Alzheimer's disease will have trouble understanding spatial relationships or visual images. Okay, trouble finding their words, either in speaking or writing. People with early onset Alzheimer's disease may find following a conversation challenging. They may stop in the middle of a discussion and not complete their train of thought. And then personality changes according to the AARP. If a loved one starts acting anxious, fearful, or loses interest in favorite activities, that may be a red flag for dementia. And another thing when it comes to personality changes, people with dementia typically become very mean. Okay, that's one of the things my grandmother would say the most horrible things to people. And we were kids at the time, and to us kids about other people, and it was like, oh my gosh, and we just had to bite our tongue and like you just took it, because you knew she just didn't know any better, and she didn't mean to say horrible things about other people to us, and specifically people that we loved and we cared about. She would say horrible things about them, but she just didn't know any better. Now, that's dementia, and I want to talk about also solutions here. So make sure that you stick around to the end so we can, get all of the information in that you need, because this is a very important topic. Now, what I say that I pay attention to in my own life there are little signs that will show you that you're starting to have some cognitive decline and you want to clean it up. I mean, for me, when I notice this in my own life, and it could be, a lack of sleep, it could be a lot of different things as to why this is happening. But either way, I don't care why it's happening. I want it cleaned up, and I want it cleaned up now, because this kind of thing scares me. Now, also put in the comments below. I mean, do you know somebody who's had dementia? Have they had some of these different early warning signs? Let me know what your experience is with that. Now, for me, the things I look for are like the inability to complete a thought, the inability to grab something out of your memory, right? So sometimes you just have these days where you're like, I just can't think of anything. I can't remember that person's name. I can't. I just don't have the right words. I don't feel that when I was asked what I ate yesterday or what I did over the weekend, or it literally is gone. I just don't even have any recognition as to what happened. And these are the things that we want to look out for. Some other things are going to be chronic brain fog. Okay, you just can't get your brain right. You can't focus. Your cognitive ability seems weak. The other thing is poor brain endurance. You do a task and your brain just seems like it's out of energy, right? And some people, literally, you could do a small task, and next thing you know, your brain literally is done. Maybe it's paying your bills, maybe it's doing some tasks for work, and your brain just checks out after maybe an hour of focus work. Okay, so that's a problem too. Now, for me, there's things that I take action on as soon as I see this happening in my own life. I take this seriously. I go to action right away in making changes. The one thing that you do have to be aware of is that if you are getting a lack of sleep or poor quality sleep, that can lead to dementia-like symptoms. So you do want to make sure you're getting good quality sleep. Eating healthy is obviously important. Exercising helps get proper oxygen flow to the brain. That helps too if you're, just noticing your brain's a little bit sluggish. But being that I've spent a lot of time studying this over the past several years and really looking at what you can do to improve your brain health in a big way, I want to talk about some different nutrients you can take. Okay, so what I'll do is underneath this video in the description, I'll put together I'll put a link to this brain kit that I formulated. And the reason that I think it's so beneficial is because it gives your brain what you need. And out of all the things, this is interesting because I put together these kits called Power Packs for people. They're vitamin kits in order to help improve particular areas of your health. Out of all the ones I put together, the one that everybody says, oh my gosh, I can't believe what a difference it made. It's this one, it's called Brain Restore Power Pack. And it has a lot of powerful micronutrients in it that really support memory, cognitive ability, the brain's ability to detox and get toxins out of the brain, because what happens is we can become impaired in our brain health and we can become very toxic, and it really causes a problem like leaky brain, and so many things unfold within the brain. But also we have to look at, high amounts of DHA and how that can improve your brain health. And when people go and they're having some of these the decreased cognitive ability like I'm mentioning here, and they start using these nutrients, I'm telling you, it is a game changer. As I said, out of all the things I recommend to people, this one, people always go, wow, I can't believe how much that changed my life. And this is when you look at a situation like this, I always tell people the brain can become a scary place. And the reason that the brain can become a scary place is because whatever your brain is doing, that is your new reality, right? If you have decreased cognitive ability, that is your new reality. You may not be able to hold down your job. You may not be able to stay focused. You may not be able to stay on task. That is your new reality. And so we have to be very careful with that reality, because that reality can become scary in the way of causing psychiatric conditions, you to maybe treat others poorly and have a bad attitude and have anxiety and have a poor outlook on the world. The list goes on and on. When you look at most of these psychiatric conditions today, and I know I'm going way off dementia here, but it is because the brain is not working properly. I'll tell you another quick story because I find it fascinating. So when I started getting into brain supports, one of my main goals, first of all, because I do a lot of detox work, was how do we help people detox the brain? The brain can become very toxic just because it's a fatty organ. And what happens is when you have some of these different toxins out there, they have affinity to being stored in fat. This is why people who lose weight quickly, in many cases, can become overburdened with toxins, and it can cause other health problems. It's like you lose a bunch of weight, your hair starts to fall out. You lose a bunch of weight, you get a thyroid condition, right? Because you can become very toxic from it. Well, the thing is I was very interested in figuring out how we could efficiently detox the brain. So anyway, I went down this path, and one of the things that happened is that in the testimonial, when people would go and rate the product that we developed and then put a testimonial in there, people started going, oh my gosh, this helped me overcome my anxiety. Oh my gosh, this helped me fix depression. This helped me overcome some different psychological problems I was having. And it's going, wow, what? This is really interesting. We didn't make it for this purpose. But the fact and this is what I learned through this process, is that when you fix the brain, when you heal the brain, when you give the brain what it needs, not only do you, start to feel better cognitively and be able to have better memory and recall and cognition, and then also even brain fog starts to go away, and you start to have better brain endurance. All that stuff starts to happen, but also you can take somebody who has a very unhealthy brain and they've developed like a psychological disorder, and then that starts to reverse too. So anyway, this is the way that you improve your brain health, and this is important because many people are struggling in their brain health today, and I think that it's more important than ever before to make sure that you're taking control of this situation and doing everything you can to improve brain health so that one day you don't suffer from dementia or any other brain disorder, because it is devastating. I've witnessed it firsthand, and I certainly wouldn't want it to happen to myself, and I wouldn't want it to happen to you. So take action on your brain health and take control of your health in general today. Check out some of the other videos on this channel as well, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.